All of your favorite entrepreneurs are lying to you. They're concealing one very important thing. One key secret to being a successful entrepreneur is seldom mentioned by any of the big popular names that you hear educating entrepreneurs. So that's what we're going to talk about today, helping you understand risk so you can be a more successful entrepreneur. The CEO of one of my businesses, Scott Gallatley, explains risk management in a very simple analogy to understand. He says that managing risk is like visiting a country you've never been to before. In this example, managing risk is taking appropriate action to foresee what things may go wrong in the future. Have you got access to Google Translate so you can communicate with locals if you need to find advice?
Oh, hi, Nayday. Joy, team. Mark. What did I just say?
These are all the things that we do when we travel because we are managing potential risks. We're not expecting these things to happen, but we're prepared just in case things do happen. Now, this surprises me that people take these precautions when they're traveling, but seldom take the same measures inside their businesses. How many times have you heard an entrepreneur say that the market shifted and we're no longer selling as much of the same product, or the government changed the rules or the regulations, and seemingly by surprise, they didn't see an issue coming in their business and now they're stuck in trouble. The purpose of this channel is to help you be as successful as possible in your business. And when I started my business, I didn't have support around me or even YouTube to help me to find my path as an entrepreneur. So here's 5 risk management strategies that you can implement in your business to help you stay safe and help your business to thrive. The first strategy is to diversify your revenue streams. Now, it does make sense to double down and build a business on a winning product. But there comes a point where you need to actually start to diversify where you're getting your revenue, or you can run into big problems. You may choose to diversify with the client, with the level of market you're going after, or even the product or the niche that you're targeting. These are all okay to change when you have enough momentum in the business that you can start to build out other areas and revenue lines. Now, a lawyer friend of mine gave me some great advice in this area. You see, he was a liquidations lawyer and all day long managed businesses that had failed. Obviously, he had a lot of great lessons from businesses that had gone wrong and helped me to understand how my business could go right. Now, he had one golden rule, and that was to never let any one client, one niche, or one product line be more than 30% of a business's revenue. Because any business who is breaking the rule of 30% is just at too much risk of something going wrong. Unfortunately, I have personal experience of this. In one of our businesses, we had a client who was more than 40% of our profit on any one given year. And the business had been successful over a number of years, building up and making lots of money from that client and all our other business as well. Now, that client grew too fast and ended up entering liquidation themselves. And what happened was we had paid suppliers, we'd paid staff, and we started losing money because we were no longer receiving the revenue from the client, and the client owed us a lot of money when they eventually went under. Now, that cost the business almost 18 months of time to recoup the profit that we'd lost after that time. And at the end of the day, when we took stock of what we'd made in the first 18 months and what we'd lost in the second 18 months, well, we were less ahead than what we would have been had we just brought on a number of smaller clients. That excitement of landing a huge deal with a large client was, in that case, short-lived. And unfortunately, we learned the lesson the hard way on the rule of 30%. Strategy number 2 is maintaining financial reserves. Now, don't yawn when I start talking about rainy day funds. There's some extra little tips in here for the savvy business owner. Having adequate funds in the bank for a rainy day helps the business to survive through tough times. We all know that. But there's a little bit more nuance that makes this really powerful in a business. Now, when times are tough and cash is low in a business, we can start to change how we make decisions. This may be conscious or it may be unconscious. But when we go internally into our own survival mode, well, we start to make pretty poor decisions. Most of our strategy goes out the window and we start making short-term survival decisions instead of strategic, medium to long-term decisions. Now, that's not to say that if your business is in distress that you don't have to act quickly and make rash decisions when the time comes to it. But we don't want those decisions to be rash. We don't want those decisions to be missing the important medium and long-term thinking as well as short-term survival. Let me tell you a story that scared the crap out of me and means that I always have money for a rainy day just in case. In one of our technology businesses, a junior developer had made a mistake and had unfortunately exposed a security vulnerability to one of our cloud servers. Now, someone was scanning the internet for vulnerabilities and found their way into our cloud infrastructure platform and started spinning up Bitcoin mining machines on our cloud platform. Now, I was traveling at the time and I started receiving text messages on my phone that $10,000 charges were going through on our account, and they were going through every hour. Now, I thought these may have been a bug in the notification system, but after 10 hours of messages, I sent through a message to my CFO and asked her to investigate. Now, what had actually happened was, because these servers were connected to an Amex, they were basically billing as much as possible, as fast as possible, and we went through $120,000 in 24 hours on our cloud platform. Unfortunately, because it was our mistake that the password was exposed publicly, well, we had to wear the cost of that. Now, not only did it suck to lose $120,000 in one day, but we still had bills to pay. I had to pay my payroll and my suppliers, otherwise our business would have come to a complete stop. In the weeks and months that it took for us to negotiate and thankfully eventually have refunded the money, well, we still had to run and manage our business, and that $120,000 was tied up with the infrastructure provider that we had paid via our credit card. Investing in your team is the best way to maximize your return on investment for your business. You're paying them anyway, why not invest in more productivity? How many times have you had a staff member in your business who was an underperformer and with a bit of training or a bit of guidance suddenly turned into a performer? Well, taking anyone who's performing at an okay level and getting them up to a great level is something that you can easily do through investment in training and skills for your team. A survey was conducted with employees to see how motivated they were about their workplaces, and those who felt they were playing to their strengths far outpaced those who didn't feel they were in the right seat on the bus. My secret sauce is aligning employees' individual goals with the company's goals and the company's vision. Each person has a personal dream, and when you can attach their personal dream to the business goals, well, you get highly motivated staff members. Now, that's not without risk, and many entrepreneurs make a big mistake here. See, they hire a whole bunch of superstars or heroes, and each person ends up working individually. You need staff that will both perform individually, but play with a team nice as well. Number 4 is crisis management, and we all need to have a playbook for how we manage crises in our business as they arise. Now, being an entrepreneur, you're probably pretty good at managing challenging situations, solving problems quickly, and you may even thrive in unstable times. A business can often feel like fighting fires all day long, but you need to have some discernment so that you know when to get out the fire hose and when to let the fire burn a little bit. Now, what I mean by this is it's unsustainable for you to be in firefighting mode 24 hours a day all week long, and many business owners just run from crises to crises all the time. A good crisis management process will help you and your team respond with presence rather than running from emergency to emergency. It will outline things like who is notified, what process is followed, and how things can be resolved. It also means that your team can get the jump on issues before they always come to your plate. And for that time you're sitting on the beach trying to take a holiday and something goes wrong in your business, well, it means that your team will be there to help. Strategy number 5 is professional advice. And I know there's a little bit of an adverse reaction to entrepreneurs being suggested to go and get advice from others. Well, sometimes we want to do it ourselves, and sometimes that's the right move. Sometimes we don't want to listen to the rules or what anyone else has to say, and sometimes that's also the right move. But we do have blind spots, and every time we can bring an expert into the business, well, they're going to help us to find out what are the things that we don't know. Now, I've got a simple trick for getting advice and getting great advice from those mentors and advisors that I have around me. And that is that each time I sit down with my lawyer or my accountant or someone else who's advising my business, I don't just ask them to tell me what to do, I ask them to teach me what to do. And what that means is I'm asking them to help me understand what questions should I be asking, what strategies should I be considering, and how can I be a better leader in this area of the business. Now, we've got a pretty tough road being an entrepreneur. You've got to deal with finance, marketing, legal, sales, operations. I could go on, right? And it's important for the very practical areas of our business that we get help in those areas. And having someone who can teach us so that we can improve our competency means that we're going to be a better leader for our business. I've given you 5 strategies for managing risk in your business, and I want to leave you with one simple way of seeing around corners as an entrepreneur. Imagine we're sitting down having a cup of tea 5 years from now. What are all the things that have happened in those 5 years? What market shifts have taken place? What business growth has taken place? What has changed in your life and in the world in all of that time? If you imagine all of those things for the next 5 years, have a think about how they might impact your business, how they might impact your customers, how they might impact your staff, and how they're going to impact the market in general. Think about those things now, and I'd be curious to know, how will you have your business respond to those potential challenges, but also potential opportunities over the next 5 years?